So let's go back a year. Do you remember what it felt like? So what advice would you guys, I remember the butterflies in my stomach, pacing my hotel room, practicing. And in the end, it's like, it is what it is. I'm just going to be who I am. And I felt like all of you were the same. Tell me what advice, or share with our audience what advice you would give to the Impact winners who are about to go on the stage at 1 o'clock today. What advice would you give them?
The advice that I would give is to tap into your passion for the purpose of your school. We all have a story to tell, and we all are leading incredible places, and the passion is there. So just let that come out, and imagine yourself talking to a donor who is going to give you a lot of money to continue to make impactful change. And that's the advice I would give. And it is one moment during this summit. I don't even remember last year if we called it a summit, but it is one moment. I would do that, but I would keep my sort of ears and hearts and head open to all the other opportunities that you're going to gain over these next 2 to 3 days, including connecting with educators who become friends and colleagues that you're imagining we're going to be doing this for a long time together. So that's advice I would give.
Beautiful. Angela. Anyone else?
I would say 2 things. One is you are already all winners, and the folks who are listening already love you, right? They've read about you, they've seen the video, they've thought about your school, they've discussed. So it's like, yes, you're talking to a donor, but you're also talking to like loving friends who are just excited to hear from you, and you've already won. And then the other thing I'd say is just give yourself a little time beforehand, whatever you need to do, whether that's pace in your hotel room, whatever, but don't, give yourself the space. We're so used to, as educators, giving ourselves to others. I'd say give yourself 10 to 15 minutes of your self-time before, so you're ready to go.
Beautiful. Well said. Anyone else?
I can say that I didn't feel like I gave myself enough time. I was walking from our passage ceremony out the door, literally, and on a plane to get there in time for the talk. So I had not met any of these beautiful people before that moment, and was extremely nervous, but I just kept telling myself, just share my story. Share my story, and then I'll get a chance to get to know everyone. And that's what I did. And really, I'm sure we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but this is the gift that keeps on giving. And I'm so very happy to make the connections that I've made since that moment.
Beautiful. So all of us have talked as the OGs about how valuable this experience has been. So let's go back a year. Tell me what your impressions were. Each and every day we got together, and then getting back on our planes. How did you feel? What was the most valuable part of last year's summit?
I definitely went to DC, not sure of what I was going to, maybe even a little skeptical. I mean, it was the first, whenever you do the first annual of anything, you're like, the first annual. And by the time we left, and I'll be honest with you, I'm an introvert, and I don't really like to make new friends. It's not my favorite thing. But I genuinely fell in love with these people. And by the time we left, we were exchanging text messages and, hugging and crying. And it was real, and it stayed real. We do have text groups and things like that. We stay connected, and even now, really talk to each other about our biggest problems in our job and encourage each other and support each other. So I really it was like skeptical me would never have guessed that 3 days later me would even exist. So this was a real transformative experience.
Angela?
I would say when I reflect back on last year, what comes to mind is the space and time to be my authentic self with leaders, and not just leaders, like-minded leaders who share the celebrations and challenges that I share. And so often, as a leader, you are expected to hold everyone else, right? And that can be burdensome, in particular as a woman of color. Often people, for strange reasons we can talk about later, expect so much more. And then, you're dealing with passive aggressiveness and all of that. So to come into a space with leaders from all demographic groups and be able to be authentic and vulnerable and transparent was like a breath of fresh air. And I am grateful that I was able to create that with the people that are here and be able to have real talk. I'm just grateful for those connections where when you're in your space at home, sometimes you have to guard yourself because they're expecting you to bring it, right? Yeah. To show up and show out. If my friend Dr. Clark was here, I think that's kind of what we do. You show up and you show out, but didn't have to show out. It's just like, okay, we're here, we can breathe and be present with one another. So
that's so beautiful. I feel the same. Craig, I know you weren't here last year, but Les, I'm sure, came home and was a chatterbox and shared. He was such an integral part of the group.
It was so powerful to hear about those connections, and he actually equated it to he and I have talked a lot about having that network, and I love that word, vulnerability and authenticity, right? Those are so crucial in this business. And so where do you have that space, and with whom are you cultivating that space, right? And he came back and talked about that, just the connections, like-minded individuals who are really trying to advance those things, and beyond the pedagogy and the scaffolding and all of the jargon. It's about the connections and the people, and so and it was great, even just being able to jump in and be so well received. It's very clear that there's something we all have in common, and that's the heart for what we do. For sure.
Absolutely, thank you for that, Shannon.
It's hard to follow all of these brilliant minds. I would say that some of the ideas and inspiration that I walked away from really just kind of helped me get recharged and ready to think about the next year and to share those ideas like with my community. And then for us to stay in touch, where it was just really helpful for us to just kind of keep that momentum going. So that was a really important piece, especially because being a leader does tend to be a lonely job. And so you really do need someone to know that they've got your back, even if they are a state or two away.
Aw, beautiful. I think for me, I wasn't sure coming to DC last year, being the only school for special needs, 100% special needs, how I would fit in and what I would really get. Attending charter school conferences, whether it's in Florida or across the United States, I never get any information that really pertains to my school and my students. So it's very lonely for me. I think at the very end, I felt it immediately with you guys, but at the very end, I walked away really sad because it was the first time in my 18 years as an executive director that I felt like I belonged, that I didn't have to pretend with regards to the challenges we face each and every day, and there's so much with education right now. I felt like you guys had my back. You really listened and heard. Sherilyn just did a beautiful job navigating the conversations and allowing everyone to have a voice and be heard, really heard for the first time. And for me, I walked on that plane and I was so exhilarated, but at the same time so sad that you guys weren't right next door, not 5-10 states away. So I thank each and every one of you, and we're missing a couple of our buddies today, and I really miss them as well. But I just want to thank you guys for allowing, the ostrich to feel like she belonged with a flock of birds, because that's how it feels sometimes with a charter school only for students with autism. So thank you for that. When you returned home, how did you change from this experience? What changes either did you implement in your school physically, or how you felt emotionally as a leader? Did you feel more charged as a leader? Did you feel more inspirational? Tell me what you walked away with and brought.
This was fascinating. So I can't speak, of course, to the experience, but watching Les come back and the impact it had on our community. And I'll just share one in particular is when when the video was shared with us that Les had done, we got together as a whole school, right? And the whole school watched.
Flannel and all, right?
Yep,
Flannel and
yep.
all.
Yep. Oh man, he told us, he said, I wore my nice flannel, you guys. So we knew it was coming. But we watched that as a community, and I think, I wonder how connected the students feel to that. You know, they knew what was happening, and you know, they see a lot of what we do behind the scenes, but I was interested to see how they would receive that. And they just were leaning in, and we had students come up. We had the award there, and there's a couple pictures that we have from that day with students who were getting emotional. And there was this connection, there was this realization that what we're doing, I think they know it's for them. But I think that there was some validation maybe in that, or some recognition, I would say, of this matters, and what we're doing matters. And just watching them navigate that with questions and being able to see that, it was really cool. So I think it was really empowering for our community too, and the students.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. We didn't know that part. That's beautiful.
I'll share
that
that
you
picture.
shared it with the whole student population and the staff.
Yep, our entire community was there.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Angela?
Last year was 22, 23, and we were coming off the heels of the pandemic in terms of, you know, it was our first year back, right? Whole school, everyone in person, and it was rough. Yeah. It was rougher than what it was when we were hybrid, and the year before that when we were all virtual, but it was like we were starting over, and it was my 25th year as an educator, and I said to people, it's my 25th year, and I forgot it. And it wasn't until I was standing here that I remembered that it was my 25th year, and it was very exhausting. I came to the end of the year prior to coming to this conference summit thinking, I think I'm gonna end this early. I'm exhausted. I just don't have it in me anymore. And after coming in contact with each and every one of you, I was so inspired. I'm like, oh, they're serving the kids like me. They're doing this. They're doing that. I'm about to go to DC. I'm going to Florida. I'm going to see this. I'm going to do that. I came back on fire, and I feel like I can go on. So it's like knowing that you're not in your little isolated space, and even though there are people around you, it's different because everyone's looking at you for different reasons. Like it's competitive in the space where we are in Massachusetts. Education is the thing, nothing else but education. So being able to come here and get inspired by other leaders across the country, it changed me. And I'm in it to win it. That's kind of my theme. I am in it to win it. I got 4 more big games, but I'm looking to win every year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Always well said, Angela.
Thank you.
Monica?
I'm a little emotional.
I second a lot of what Angela said, but I'll take a different angle, which is that, so we won the Community Engagement Award, and as a charter school, we spent a lot of time talking about student achievement and learning, and it was a hard year, and there's so much hard stuff that we do every day. And we all along throughout Common Ground's history, this element of our story, which is the summer camp and the work that we do with other schools, all of this had always been happening. But to be able to come back and say, we won this award because of how we do this work outside of our community was very inspirational for our community, and it sort of helped situate and ground us. And like, the hard things are still hard and we still need to work towards them, but let's celebrate these other things that we do really well. I feel like it kind of balanced out our community a little, such that everyone's work became clear was really important and impactful. And so I think it was really good for staff morale in that way.
Wow, well said. Thank you. Shannon?
So there were a couple things. One, I was really enamored by the amount of pride that Building Hope was taking in documenting every piece of our journey at the summit last year. And now it's happening again this year. And I just kept thinking, all right, there's a way for us to do better at documenting our stories. So really figuring out how to get better at capturing that. So we've really been exploring better ways to kind of show that in the walls of our school, to tell our stories, to really be thinking about that going forward. And then kind of a similar note, it was really nice to be like well cared for, as leaders. Like, so we just really felt like we were, kind of these sparkly people. And that just, it felt really good. And that was really energizing for us, I think, to feel like, yes, yeah, we really are doing good work, and that really helped us, launch back into the next year as well. Along with that, especially in my area, charters are not necessarily like painted in a beautiful light. So it was really wonderful to see that there is a network of charter advocates across the nation that really do believe in the work that we are doing. And so that was just eye-opening and elevating for me and for our community.
Beautiful. I think for me, I do agree with what you said. I showed up last June feeling sort of frustrated with education. I feel like the world forgot about education and why we're in it for kids and nothing more and nothing less. And I was feeling a little burnt out and frustrated. And so I agree with you. But then when I got on that plane, I felt so uplifted. And I kept saying how we were pampered to my coworkers, and you're right. Nobody takes care of us as leaders, right? We have to take care of, for me, 190 staff and 400 students with autism and their families. And so who takes care of us? Nobody. And Building Hope really took a lot of planning to really think about that, and I didn't think about it till just now, and why they did that for us, and did it again this year. To feel like we're cared for the first time as charter school leaders just feels so good and so appreciated. So I really value that, and I hope they never stop doing that. And I think also, for me, I brought back inspiration and ready to move forward and fresh ideas, and my energy was super high. And it was definitely recharged after last year. So I feel like it was so valuable for me personally. And of course, all of you helped spark that charge. So
Can I add something?
Sure, of course.
And perspective.
Yeah.
Like, we are in a moment across the country where we are so polarized, and your opinion is only right if it's the same as mine. And coming into this space from Connecticut and interacting with two leaders from Florida, for example, I found myself walking into the space with some of that, like, what, you do what?
Yeah.
Right? And it really evolved over those days to where I can see how something that would never happen in Connecticut could be good depending on how you do it here. And I've just come back much more open to new ideas, different things, and just knowing that my little pocket and my little bubble is not representative of the whole world. Right. And that there are great practices and experiences and learning from all these other folks in these other states. That was really, I remember our conversation about school safety, and I go back to it all the time, because even though there are things that we wouldn't implement exactly that way in Connecticut compared to Florida, there was a lot of things I learned from what you all were describing that I did go back and implement. And I could talk about our school safety initiatives in a really different way because of the things that you two taught me.
Yeah, well, I remember you guys came to tour my school back in February of this year. And afterwards we walked into your school, there's a fully armed security officer, everything is locked, and all we kept, I remember you guys saying to me, we kept thinking, is this what you do for students with autism? Like, you have them behind locked doors? Like, what are we walking into? I remember that reaction. I'm like, no, in Florida, it's the law. We have to keep our classroom doors locked. We have to have armed security guards. We do not let you in unless you're buzzed in. It is a lockdown across the state of Florida. So your reactions were not something I expected, because I thought everybody does that, but it's not. And so I appreciate that feedback. You really learned a lot from what we are mandated to do for the safety of our children in accordance to a new law. So yes, we got pampered last year, and yes, we made amazing connections, but we also got these beautiful awards at the gala event. Tell me what the award meant to you when you got to bring it back. You know, you said it was displayed at the front of the school. What did it mean to you personally and professionally and to your school?
For me, it was an opportunity to be recognized for what we do day in, day out. We are not setting out to do the award to do the work for an award or for the process despite the awards. This is what we do. This is our daily grind in service of our students and our families. So it really meant like, oh my God, we were seen. We were recognized for this work. And, you know, I was like, 300 schools? Look at this, people. This is amazing. So it just continued to inspire us to do what we do. But mostly it was an appreciation for being recognized and being seen. Like, oh, you are doing great work. Like, day to day, you kind of think you're doing great work, but nobody is telling you.
No.
And no one is saying thank you.
No.
And no one is saying you've done a good job. Right. You just keep on that grind. So it's nice to say, hey, stop, pause. You guys did that. So, yeah.
Well said. Shannon.
So Craig and I were talking a little bit right before we came up here about the category of education and innovation, and I think we both said like, we kind of forget that, you know, we are innovators of education in what we do because we're just doing it every day. So it was really exciting. I echo what Angela said, that we were just sort of recognized in that way, but I think it was also a way for us to share with the community, yeah, we really are innovating some best practices in our area, and so that was really appreciative, and I was glad that we had that little chat before.
I think you see things through other people's eyes.
Yeah.
You know, like that was exactly the conversation. We end up on islands oftentimes in this work. And they can be good islands that are supportive and innovative, and they can be islands that set us apart from others in a different way. And so seeing the work we do through the eyes of other people was humbling, to say the least. And I think with our model, we without getting into the weeds, it's a teacher-powered model, and so we all have ownership in it. We don't have a traditional hierarchical structure, and so there is so much ownership at every level. And I think what that award meant to people individually was really powerful. And I know that was the case for me for sure.
That's incredible to hear. Monica.
I think the breadth of the categories really impacted me, and I hear that as well. We are so good at being self-critical as educators, and as much as that feels negative a lot of the time, it's just who we are, right? Like, I'm never going to stop trying to do better for my kids. Like, you could say you're doing all these 10 things great, and I'm still gonna say, but this one thing we need to get better at, and that's how we talk to each other all day, every day. And to be able to take some time to just carve out and focus on one aspect of our work where we are doing really well and have that celebrated was just much needed break from the constant, like, we need to do better, that's in our heads all the time.
All the time. I think for me, being the executive director and the founder, people always say to me, do you ever sit back and look at your building and look what you do? No. I always say, what's next? What can we create now? What do we need to do for our kids now? This allowed me the opportunity to stop and look at what we do and recognize the incredible team that I have and the successes we make with our students. So this was incredibly valuable and continues to be for us. This February, actually, we kind of bugged Sherilyn to get us together because we really missed each other, and we were all struggling with different challenges, and we just craved to get together again and be able to share successes since we saw each other in June. And we really each one of us had some significant stuff we needed resolved, and we trusted each other so much that we valued each other's opinions. So Sherilyn was so gracious to be able to pull us together this past February. What did that mean for you and you and you? And what did you walk away with?
I mean, so imagine you're getting on a plane to hang out with your besties, except your besties also do your same job, but also don't do your same job in the same like town as you. So you don't have to watch, because we hold all the people, but we also are leaders in our communities. Right. So if I was to say, even to a close colleague in my community, like, oh, I'm burnt out, or I'm struggling with this, or I don't know if I can do this anymore. Do you know how fast the word would go around that Common Ground was falling apart and the executive director was about to quit? Right? Too fast, friends. And so we hold the well-being of our kids and the stability of our school communities. And to be able to come and hang out with people who had already built trust and relationships, who I'd already sort of been acknowledged and received as a leader. So I had nothing to prove. I didn't have to be like, I can't say this thing because if I do, you're going to think I'm bad at my job. Yes. That was off the table. Right. So you could really say the things and really have the conversations and really grapple with things and grow. It was amazing. I really, even if we can't do it with Building Hope, I'm like, I think we should schedule annual reunions or something.
Come on down. Come on down to the Sunshine State. Yep. Shannon.
I would echo that, and I would just call that a safety net. I felt like it was a beautiful safety net that I felt very comfortable coming to, and I shared some very confidential challenges that I was really nervous about that are still in progress, but it was the first question that my colleagues asked me. As soon as I got here is, how's that going? But really the advice that they gave me at that moment changed my whole perspective, and I brought that right back, and it really was a freeing sort of perspective where I was sort of re-empowered of like, okay, they don't have control over me, I have control. So it was so necessary and so timely to have that retreat at that time.
Timely is actually the word I was going to say. I had just hit this huge wall in our state with our students and just was ready just to give up and say, what are we doing this for? Nobody seems to really care about our students with autism, and I'm battling, and who am I? I don't even know who I'm battling anymore. And then we had this weekend. And I also had an opportunity to share in a safe place where there was no judgment. There's no rumors flying around my county that Anne's leaving. It was just a safe place to say, how am I resolving this? I don't know how to move forward with this. And you all gave me such valuable insight that we did resolve it, and we are moving forward with the issue that we were challenged with, and I feel so good about moving into 23-24 school year. So the value of feeling trust, a safe place. You guys had that safety net. If I felt like I was falling, was so incredible for me personally. So thank you all for that.
And I will say, I'll speak for Les.
Yes, go ahead.
He's not here, but I know what he would say because he comes back and talks about it. And the analogy is, we know each other well enough. There's this group of school leaders that I've formed really deep friendships and partnerships with. And we jokingly call ourselves the Council of Beards because we happen to all have beards, right? Have you heard about this?
Yeah, we did.
And this is a tremendous compliment. He knows how powerful that group is and how sustaining how much work we've done that has been sustained by that group. And he came back and he said, "I found my council. I found my counsel," and I said, and I know what that means, right? I know what that means, and in a business that can chew you up and spit you out, you have to have that. Right. So I know that he would say that same thing.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. I feel like Les is right here.
Yes.
So we're coming to a conclusion of our talk this morning, but tell me, guys, where you hope this goes. I mean, Sherilyn and Building Hope has explained where they hope it goes, this new movement. But what do you guys think we should do with this incredible opportunity, the value we've received, the new group coming in, all of us together? What can we do to change? What kind of impact can we make on education and charter schools? Angela's always first. I have to pick on you, Angela.
Okay, so, I appreciate that question, and it's a loaded one.
Yeah.
Because even from 1 year, there's been a significant change, positive change. The growth has been immense over a 1 year period. So I am anticipating how we are bringing in and connecting with the new Gs. I see a few of them out there, and the broader audiences, and us coming together collectively and collaboratively to think about what the next steps are. What I can say for sure, and Shannon, you already said it, is the gift that keeps giving and growing. So I'll leave it at that. But it's to be decided. I don't think, we have ideals, but the power is in the room.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Monica, what impact?
So obviously this has been a very personally impactful experience for me, and I would love to see it continue. I am so concerned as an educator in my own almost 30 years in education about how what's going on in education across this country in different ways and for our kids. And I'm personally just feeling like, what can I do, And I think that Building Hope has convened leaders and continues to convene leaders, and I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I think, what can we do? Right, through Building Hope, through this powerful council that we've managed to build, it's like, what can we do? So I think the personal impact I'd love to continue, but I'd love to think about what impact can we have, in what way can you leverage this group of leaders to have impact beyond us.
Beautiful. Craig?
I think it's a reminder, when we bring people together, we actually use this analogy a lot at school. More often than not, we're not asking students to find the answer. Mm-hmm. We're asking you to find an answer. Mm-hmm. And I think that is something I feel very strongly, groups like this, summits like this, conferences, bringing people together is a reminder of that. We are doing fantastic work, and we're doing it in ways that are meaningful for our families, our communities, our students, but none of us have the answer. We found an answer.
That's right.
And I think we have to remember that and support each other in hearing other solutions that people have brought to the table, because it can get competitive. It can get, there can be conflict, and that's not what we're here for. Yeah. So I see things like this as a way to build up and celebrate what we're doing, challenge one another, and I'm going to always be that sort of gatekeeper and prevent that mission drift away from innovation. That's what charter schools were meant to do.
Yes.
And so I think we can raise our voices for that.
Yes, beautiful.
Sure. Yeah.
Shannon?
So at home, people call me Little Miss Metaphor because I really love metaphors. And so I was just really drawn to Building Hope's metaphor. At the gala last year, there was a pebble among like a clear piece, and then the award was water as well. So that idea of just a small drop in a bucket, but it makes a massive ripple is what I hope for, and what I really expect to happen. It already has happened with all of us, and I know it's just continuing to happen, that power of the echo of all of the different ways that we can make really amazing things happen. So each of us are just a little pebble.
I think I'll draw to a conclusion by just saying, I think if we continue to be, all of us, the incredible leaders that we all are of our various schools and the demographics that we serve and the disabilities and so forth, that's the impact that we're going to make on our country by being innovative, by really addressing what our community needs. That's the impact we're going to make. And by Building Hope, continuing to support all the leaders of innovation, model charters, student empowerment, what am I forgetting? Community engagement. By supporting all those categories and really publicizing it to the country, we'll continue to build the movement of charter schools and recognizing the value in those communities. Thank you, Shannon and Craig and Angela. Thanks. And my friend Monica and Jennifer, who couldn't be here on the stage, and Marco and Ellen and Les and who am I? Alexis. All of you are so valuable to me, and I know we are to each other. And again, so grateful to Building Hope. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.